Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome. Namaste. My name is Sadhana. For those of you that are new to my channel, Friday is my live tarot chat. And today I thought I would share with you some decks by Ana Tourian, who is an artist that is very familiar to all of us. And I have 3 of her decks that I'm going to share with you today. So welcome, and please join in the chat. I want to say, let me know if you have any questions or there's cards in the 3 decks that we're looking at today that you struggle with. So that I'm happy to address that. And we're going to start by looking at Tarot of the Abyss. So I'll get to that in just a moment. And if you're wondering who I am and where I am, I'm an intuitive reader and healer, and I live on the west coast of British Columbia in Canada. And I am very active on Zoom and other places as well too. So if you're interested in having a reading, all of my information is in the description box below, and it would be lovely to connect with you in person. I also have a course that is starting towards the end of this month. And if you are interested in joining, please send me a message and I can give you more information. Or you can hop on to my website and just read about it there. All right, so I would love to get through all 3 of these decks today. So I want to turn to the cards and get to that. So welcome. Hi, Clevis. And thank you for letting us know. So Helen is in Estonia. She was on in the last hour when we were doing live readings, and I asked where she was from. Okay, so why this particular month, or I should say Virgo season, there have been a couple of decks that have come back onto my table that feel really I'm not sure what it is. If it is the change of the air, while we still have warmth here and it's beautiful season, there is a crispness to the air. And in Virgo season, there's a sense of tidying things up and getting things organized. And I think being, what is the word? Words are very important for me, and choosing the correct words. And I find there are certain decks that help me find those words more easily than others. And Sasarabito is a go-to deck for me when I'm looking for my truth, looking to cut to the, kind of cut through the fog. And I'm not sure why I had put Tarot of the Abyss away. But for some reason, it came back onto my table, and I've been reading with it for the last couple of weeks regularly and have found a new connection with this deck. And I've never done a review or a discussion of it. I have used it from time to time. But one of the things that I want to suggest is that decks indeed do have a season. And sometimes when we don't connect with a deck, our tendency is to pass it on or to sell it right away. But I think it is, if there's something about the deck. I really encourage you to keep it, because when you are ready for it, it will come out. It will come out again, and it will work for you in a different way. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to share the cards with you, and I'm going to talk about some of the things I see in these cards. I have glanced at the guidebook, but I will not be referring to Anna's descriptions unless there's one that speaks that I remember. I'm going to talk to you about how I read and how I work with this deck. There is an honesty to this deck. There really, really is. And whether the cards as they are presented feel familiar if you read with other decks, or they feel they spur something in you. You know, I think Anna is asking deep questions here, and she's asking us to try a little harder, to reflect a little deeper. I have placed the suits in the order in which they are presented in the guidebook, and I think that also gives us some insight into the mind of the creator as well too. And I have Avalon Cameron's Bonestone on the deck, on the table here too, and we'll do some comparing and contrasting with that deck, which is illustrated by Ana Tourian as well. There is something about her style, the line art, that is very powerful, and the flow of energy. And I will not be referring to any ways in which cards have been described that is less than, I don't know what to say. I'm not going to talk about the funny stuff people have seen in cards, okay? And if you see it, you see it. And what I love about her art is the flow of energy, and things are always moving. And I think for the most part, many of us don't see auras. We don't see energy. And what Anna gives us is the sense of things always flowing and always moving. There is connections. There's connections between plants and humans, and animals and humans, and the earth itself, and the air and the wind. Everything is all very, very much connected, and I really appreciate that. There may feel a lack of continuity in this deck, and I think that might be one thing that people struggle with. And if we look at the aces, and the ace as the potential of the suit, and what I'll do is I'll put the aces to the side, and we'll compare them with the tens when we get there. There's an importance to the connection with the element. So this is not a hand holding a seed or a hand holding a cup. This is a human completely integrated with an element and connecting with an element in order to understand how to best work with it, to work through it. Okay, the pile of swords is a little bit higher. I don't know if you can see that because there's 2 extra cards in the suit of swords. So this is something she does really beautifully, with the human connected to the dragon. And there's some sort of, I feel like some sort of Arthurian tale waiting to unfold here in the suit of swords. The way that it almost appears as if this spirit is ready to lift the sword out of the stone. And we see the gift of the apple, the pentacle inside the apple. You know, another thing that I feel too is an openness to breaking, an openness to shattering, an openness to truly letting go and letting things disintegrate in a way that is immensely uncomfortable. I'm going to put the aces here. I have another deck that's on my table that has a lot of faceless people, and that is the Tarot of the Strange Branches, or the Strange Antlers. And there is something with the facelessness, and she is holding, or they are holding, 2 masks: the mask of the moon, the mask of the sun. And there is a choice about, you know, which mask she's going to wear. And is it indeed a mask, or is it an aspect of herself? And can she wear both at the same time? And how do we wear both at the same time? And I love the questions that she is asking. There is a tarot tag that hasn't had much response, which is called Narrating the Tarot. And I will likely do a response to that tag. I believe there's only one person that's responded to it. But I feel that is the gift of Anna's work, is the ability to find a story and to tell a story. There are so much expression and feeling in her work. If we compare and contrast the Two of Cups with the Two of Pentacles, I think we ask, and even in the Two of Wands, she wants us to ask ourselves about this whole idea of coming together, being one, being two, and how can we do that without losing a piece of ourselves? And this reminds me very much of the discussion that we had in the deep dive study with the Margaret Peterson deck recently about how these cards are so deeply connected. And so what one of the powers of this particular deck is, are the cards that appear to be very, very common and have common themes, and they look similar. I've had some very powerful insights into these cards recently and been really paying attention to the aspect of dark and light. And I cannot unsee something that I've seen in the Three of Pentacles, and the fact that that rope is breaking. This card has taken on a whole new energy for me. And there is definitely a sense of desperation to this card that I've never seen before. And while 3 represents support from others, I'm wondering if the greatest support that we can have for each other, so coming together to find something stronger, like, right, there's greatness. What we do individually is strengthened in coming together, that whole notion. I feel like perhaps the best medicine in this card would be to let go and to not hold on so tight. And this feels almost as if this is a story that is leading into the Four of Pentacles. What if we were to let go? What if we were to fall? And why have we found ourselves in this darkness? Is this at a bottom of a well? Where is this? Are we rising together? Are we stronger? Do we support each other? There is no sense of one person pulling the others up. Everybody is holding on tightly. And so I think this makes for a beautiful story. And if you look at the expressions on the faces, I think it's also very powerful that Anna has given us an alternate Three of Swords. And if you think of the Three of Swords as voice, as story, as words, and you are enchanted with the, I know I'm thinking Enriquez, that sort of thing, where the play on words and language is so important in this suit. And here we have 3 swords coming together. We see the letters flying off the page, right? The 3 swords are piercing the binding, bringing a truth together. We see that whole sense of creation. You know, and another thing that, I don't know if you've ever noticed this in the ship. Did you ever notice that the ship sort of takes on the shape of a triangle? There's something about that feels, I don't know, it's something recently that came to me. And we also have that triangle shape here as well too. And then we have this oblique triangle here. I love it. I love looking at the intersection of shapes and signs and symbols. And this to me feels like, much like, I want to say, the Tarot of Enchantment or the I was gonna say it's not Eddie Bauer, John Bauer tarot. You know, there's stories to be told, and some of these feel quite mythical, and some of these feel deeply, deeply personal. And I've never seen a birthday cake before in the Four of Wands, and I'm wondering what would happen in a reading if this came up with the Six of Cups and there was a, you know, this it's so easy to tell stories. And sorry, here is the alternate Three of Swords. Again, we have the Three Swords not piercing a heart, but it feels as if they're piercing a truth. And the way that she is so very gently, I want to say, releasing the birds or nurturing the birds. I don't know. There's a tenderness in her work, and I feel a mythical quality. And we definitely see that in the deck that she co-created with Avalon Cameron. I struggled for a long time with the Five of Swords. It feels cruel. And when I think of cruelty, and please feel free to ask me questions about any of these cards. I'm keeping an eye on the chat, okay? I felt a sense of cruelty in the Five of Swords. It reminded me perhaps of the way I felt in a couple of the cards in the New Era Elements Tarot. I was kind of angry at Anna for a long time about this. And I think it's quite clever. And I'm wondering if this is something as a child that she wrestled with, if this is a question of ethics, morality. Where's that fine line between playfulness and torture? You know, these things that we do, collecting butterflies in the summer. I don't know if children still do that. So it's a really good question to put out there. There's an aspect of release, letting go, that is important in the journey of the fives. And we have a decision whether or not in each of these cards we're willing to let something go. And the truth is that if we let it go, if we set it free, we will feel a whole lot freer. And I think she does an amazing job with that in this particular deck. I love the shift in the energy of the Six of Wands, the shift of perspective. And we can see, I don't know, I feel like there's a sense of humility in the way that she is curtsying on the deck. I'm sorry, I didn't say hi to everybody in the chat, so welcome. I'm going to go back. Did I or didn't I? I wanted to get into the cards right away because I've got so many to talk about. I said hi to Irene and Helen, I think, and then Clevis. Antoinette, welcome to you. And Helen, yes, Helen. Hannah, hello. My apologies for not acknowledging you. And then I saw Tina come in. So. This is really clever too, in the Six of Cups, the way that she has this memory in the back of the mind. I don't feel the nostalgic energy here. It feels more of a, it feels very connected to the suit of air, to the mind, to the suit of swords. And so here's another illustration that is going to help us find connection among and between suits. And I like it that she's doing something different with these cards. And then some of them feel very straight up, RWS sort of artwork, but the individual takes on some of them are really beautiful. In this card, so this is Six of Swords. I like it, I have to say, when the swords are left behind. And I believe, does she have one sword with her? She does. She's got one sword and left the five behind. I think that is a potent message. And I think it helps in the telling of the story. The fact that five swords are left behind and one is going with her on the journey. Sevens are always challenging. And it's too bad, because seven is such a magical number. And it is, I believe, an integration of the first six numbers. And something I've been focusing a lot more on astrology lately. And there's this experience with the first six astrological signs being personal and the second six astrological signs being a little more cosmic. And when I look at the sevens, I need to remember that they are in that cosmic class, if that makes any sense. Aloha. Welcome, Samara Soul's Tribe. So this is what am I trying to say here? Seven is a hugely powerful and magical number. It's connected to the energy of seven. And when the artwork feels very, very specific, I want to remember that the struggle here is about that, the chariot journey. So let's just pull out the chariot, which looks very much like the six of swords, right? They're on a bird. And so the struggle in the sevens has to do with a commitment to a different, living life through a different lens, living life at a higher frequency. And so perhaps, I don't know if this is specific, and if any of this is specific to this deck at all, but I'm just saying this is a card that I want to shift the artwork on all of these cards. Or maybe there is a way, if I spent more time with the sevens, that I could see this. Yeah. So lovely to have you here, Shonda. It's been a while. Okay. What can I say about the eights? I've spoken about. Should we go back and look at what's going on in the Seven of Pentacles and then the Eight of Cups? Because I think that is quite an interesting story. So here's an example of two cards that would weave so beautifully into a story if you looked into the apparent contentment that we see in the Seven of Pentacles. But if we remember that the seven is truly, the sevens are encouraging us to go on. And then we see this. So this would be really, really beautiful to come up and to be a part of a tale. Yeah. The power of weaving a story with the tarot, I think, can take readings to a whole other level. And this is definitely one of the gifts that Anna has given us in this deck. And I think there's a level of confidence as a reader that if you have it, it's a lot easier. When I look at the Nine of Cups, and perhaps even a combination of the Nine of Cups and the Nine of Pentacles, it makes me think of the 9 in the slow tarot with the woman sitting on the rocking chair in front of the china cabinet. And I think with the nines, with here we are today at 9-9, this portal of completions, the third, the third three, there's something here. Watch out for nines today. Be in awe of nines. Flow with the nines. And while there is a sense of coming full circle, this is indeed an opening and an awakening in this energy. And for the most part, there is it's almost like something as magical is going on in the background. Not so much in the 9 of Wands. This feels very RWS. Yeah, kind of. Now, what I want to do now is to just pause here and look at the 10s in relation to the aces, which I put to the side, because I think this is a great discussion to have. These cards the suits are in the order that they're presented in the guidebook. And so I'm going to just do this for now. Try to keep this somewhat. So we have 2 10s of swords. We have one that feels very in the line with, again, but it has Anna's own take on it, because we actually see a human walking away. She's walking by, though, is she? It's a funny card. It is a funny card. So where is the ace? Ace of Swords. There's a mindfulness. There is, and I think that, what do you call it? The potential of the card that's in the center here is, again, we could make up any kind of a story. And the same with the other 10 of swords. Yes, this is about reciprocity. Yes, this is about seeing yourself in another. Yes, this is about oneness and wholeness and a sense of not being over another. And I think we do have a whisper of that interconnectedness of the 10 in the ace for sure. But again, a beautiful gift that Anna has shared with us. The Ace of Wands is the second suit that she presents, and we see almost like a magician figure with the dragon above the left hand. The wand is in the right hand. The dragon is in the left hand. So the wielding of the energy of fire, the connection with the element of fire, is in both hands. And the thing I like about this particular 10 of Wands, again, we have another story to tell. There is a pathway. The figure is moving towards us from the darkness to the light. And so this is it's a great card for storytelling. Here is the 10 of Cups. And again, something kind of magical is going on here, because it feels to me, I almost want to cry. This came up in a reading this week as well too. I've been working with this deck a lot the last 2 weeks, and I've seen so many things I haven't seen before in these cards. But that is a strength. So whether you are reading this as a coming home, this could be a beautiful story of adoption. This could be a story of coming together. There's so much hope and beauty in this. And does this not feel a lot like the Ten of Wands to you? You know, where we see a traditional Ten of Wands, the figure is moving towards the village. So we have this contrast between these two cards. I don't know if I'm where it is. I kind of move things out of the way. But I love that. I love that that potential is there. Oh, it's here, right? So this is a really interesting, if you're familiar with the RWS artwork, I think that's really interesting, the way that has shifted in this deck. And then Ace of Pentacles. I know when Anna shared this particular card in Facebook, and I think there was a Facebook page dedicated to this, or she might have put it in for Love of Cards or something. But the power of connection in both of these, the connection to roots, the connection to ancestry, the fact that the family tree is woven through both of these cards is hugely powerful. And whether you see this as DNA or a pathway, you might even see this home here connected to maybe even the Tower card, right? There's so much goodness, juiciness in these cards. Yeah. Okay. I want to go on to the majors, but I thought what maybe we should do is just, if you have any insight or anything you want to offer about, let's just look at the quartz. And I'm going to look at the quartz across the suit because there is a story within each of these, and Anna tells the story in the guidebook, but there are connections between these cards, which I think is really beautiful. I love the randomness of the masculine and feminine energy. The focus of this Knight of Swords is so powerful, so powerful. And I really like that she has brought in that connection to spirit in these particular quartz. The Suit of Swords, super high frequency suit. And yes, it can be about argumentativeness, words, slander, obsessive thoughts. It has such a wide range, but it also has the potential to connect us to spirit. And I feel that this particular element, the Suit of Air, is most closely connected to the major arcana, and it's done very, very well in this deck. There's your Knight of Wands, Page of Wands. And so here the story goes that here's the page here. Well, there's the page. I believe that's the page there. Gosh, this Queen of Wands is just beautifully. The Queen and King, this feels very Gaian tarot to me, this level of integration with that element. And it feels deeply, deeply connected to the Ace of Fire. And so this is what I mean. This is such a gorgeous deck for telling stories and for reading intuitively. And then we have this experience on the ship. And if you look from left to right here, can I put them together? I believe these all match up. Or sort of. They sort of do, right? We're on a ship. And there's a tale to be told about these 4 court cards on the ship. So yeah, it's really beautiful. And then this one as well too, right? So here we have the page, whether you want to say that the page is burying the key or finding the key. And there's your Knight. And then the Queen unearths the treasure box. And then the King does something, like is somehow using integrating with the energy. And the mountains in the background, this King of Pentacles feels really, really powerful. And I feel this particular king can also weave us into a lot of the sword cards with that power of the spirituality of the mountains. So yeah, so Anna, I think if you ever watch this video, this is your gift. Your gift is one of story and helping people to see story in the tarot and use story to use story to deepen your readings. All right. So I thought for the majors, we could compare and contrast the Bonestone majors with the Abyss majors. So both of these are illustrated by Anna, but the intention for this deck is Avalon Cameron. And I have put a link to Avalon's website below. This deck is, it appears that there may be in the future a few decks available. And so if you send a message, maybe there's a list you can get on if you're still interested in getting this deck. I know it goes for an astronomical price on Facebook Marketplace, Facebook resale, and so forth, but you may find it out there. And again, energy is really something. Now, because Bonestone is colored, we have a very different, we see Anna's artwork in a different way. And the use of color is just beautiful. The abyss that we see, the cosmos that we see in the trunk of this old oak. This reminds me of journeying. So in journeying, into the lower world, going in through the trunk of the tree is one of the, it's one of the ways to journey in there. But what we see here is there's a lot of connection, a lot of weaving. We see the mushrooms, and you imagine all of the mycelium in the forest floor. We see spider webs. There are fairies. The human is looking in here. Like, this is, again, you might pick up on any one of these things, and it might lead you into sort of a magical place. Compare the Magician with the Ace of Swords, and you get something really, something that's going on there. And so because Magician is connected to air and to Mercury, that makes so much sense, as opposed to the magic that is the energy that is being created here. And so again, this is one of Anna's gifts, is to be able to create this whole idea of energy and the movement of energy in her artwork. I've had quite a few thoughts, things that have come to mind about the High Priestess lately, about whether the High Priestess is guiding us into the abyss, whether she is protecting the front of the temple, whether there is an invitation. I'm starting to see this card in a very different way. And in the tarot, it was going to be called Tarot of the Abyss. I believe it's called the Abyss Tarot. No, it is Tarot of the Abyss. Okay. I think the name went back and forth a couple of times. I should change the description below it because it's called Tarot of the Abyss. This is a US Games deck, by the way. I love this portal that is open here. And she is not blocking it. I think it's available for us to go through. She has the key, which connects her, of course, to the high priest. This feels very earthy, right? This feels very connected to a Gaian energy. And I'll just pull that to the side. Well, yeah, let's just do this. And if you turn this card this way, what do you see? I just think this is just such a beautiful contrast with these two cards. This reminds me very much of the Wildwood Tarot in a way. And I love the details. So whether we're looking at the black and white art or a colored version, there's a lot that can be picked up on in the details, in the backgrounds and so forth. And I know that can be overwhelming for some people, but I so much prefer it to a collage deck because it's yeah. I mean, there's some great collage decks out there, but I think this is really something. Now, this is an incredible Emperor card. Just the body position. I'm in awe. Like this is one of the very best cards in this deck, this depiction. So Avalon did a great job in sharing her intention to Anna with this one. I quite like both of the Hierophant or the Wise One cards. This reminds me a little bit of the Luminous Tarot. So Avalon is from Australia, and the Lumina Tarot is also created by Lauren Aletta, illustrated by Tegan Sweeney. This card looks very similar to that deck. Yeah, totally prefer this depiction. What we have in the Chariot in Bonestone is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And it's such a contrast to Pamela Coleman Smith's artwork. Because we can't take very much with us in the Chariot. We have to choose to leave something behind. And while we can't take our whole life with us in the covered wagon, we are taking a lot with us. But the clothing, the details, this is just another fabulous card. As is Strength. And I love that she is sitting at an altar. And then it is connecting with her power animals in the background. Now, what we get in the Strength card in the Tarot of the Abyss is we're in darkness. And it is in the darkness, or through the darkness, that where we most need to find our strength. Hi, Sophie. Welcome. Maria Luisa, did I say hi to you? Welcome. And then the Hermit, which is my card for today. Both of these are just beautiful. And this, the owl in the background is just stunning, or whatever bird that's supposed to be. I feel a little bit like Sasarai Bito or something here. And again, we have the depiction of flow and energy. And the Hermit is one who is completely in touch. And I imagine that this snake would disappear as quickly as it did appear. Ah, okay. Thank you, Sophie. And in a reading just the last hour. So this looks like the same woman that's in the Eight of Cups. So if you are comfortable with narrating the tarot and telling story or linking the cards together, we do see familiar faces in the Tarot of the Abyss. And both cards use 8 as strength and 11 as justice. Karma. I just thought of something. So if you think about justice as 11 and a gateway. So 1-1, right? There's a gate, there's a pillar on each side. And so what justice does is it opens a pathway, it clears a pathway. I don't know, there's something, I just love it when the tarot takes me to new realizations and new places. These are both great hanged cards. And even if you aren't aware that this is Odin and the connection with the runes and all of that, I think you can get a powerful message. But there's lots of layers that are built into this deck. This is a great card. Okay. Disintegration. Disintegration. Rather than, like, if you separate the, what do you call it, the prefix, separate the prefix from the main part of the word, I think you get something really powerful, and using that word with this 13th arcanum. Because there's certain cards that are about integration, and this is a card about disintegration. In the Tarot of the Abyss, there's such a tremendous number of cards that speak to integration, and I guess, if you will, disintegration, that it feels like I think this is the criticism. One of my criticisms is that there's a lot of similar cards in this deck. And so the art of using this deck is finding the flow between the cards as they appear in a reading. And this devil looks very similar to the 8 of Swords. And so that might be, those two cards may show up and give you a story to tell. What is binding you? Why have you bound yourself? And where does the freedom lie? The guidebook that goes with this deck is very, very helpful, because Avalon goes into the associations. And I'm sorry, there's a Disney movie this reminds me of, with the golden eagles, and I can't unsee that in this particular one. And both of them are amazing Tower cards. Quite like the star cards as well, too. I think the moon in Tarot of the Abyss is really unique. And we can look at the Two of Cups, the Lovers, many of the cards where we see the aspect of feminine and masculine coming together. But this is an invitation to connect through lunar energy, through shadow, that we actually see them on either side of the cliffs, and yet energetically they're coming together through their intuition, through their shadow, through their pain, through their emotion. It's a really beautiful card. And the sun in Bonestone feels very Four of Wandsy. So, you know, there's lots that we can work with here. This is called, I believe, Initiate. They're both Awakening. No, this is Judgment. Avalon did not change the names. She stuck with traditional names, but this is speaking to initiation. And then the World. Yeah. Anna is producing, and so did you see my thumbnail? So on the thumbnail, on the left of the thumbnail, is the Hermit card for the Tarot of Echoes. And a lot of those cards have been revealed in different Facebook groups, different places. And it looks like it's going to be a beautiful deck. And I think one of my concerns is that do I need another Ana Tourian deck? Are they going to feel too familiar? Will I be able to work with more of her art? And this is a funny thought. I'm wondering if I did not put Tarot of the Abyss in order, and I only have the first version. I'm wondering if that will influence the sales at all. Aloha, Jonathan. Okay, I have not purchased the second edition. I do have an extra copy of the first edition. If anybody is interested in swapping a new copy of the second edition for the first edition, I might be interested in doing that. Why do I have two copies? Because when I first received this deck, it was, you know, this deck has a similar influence to soul cards, I think. This takes you deep into your soul, deep into your energy. This is a very energetic experience. And this is one of few oracle decks that is full of challenging cards. And that's also one of the things I love about this deck, is that this is not a hug deck. This is a deck that is like her other decks, is asking you to go deeper, to think more, to be to be open to your journey. I'm sure you're not alone in this. That would be a really beautiful, beautiful exercise. And I have seen the second edition. So the second edition zooms in on the artwork, and then it doesn't have the bar across the bottom. You see the title of the card in more of a calligraphy font, in a handwritten font. And so the perspective on the artwork is quite different. Like the size of the art. So the new deck zooms in quite a lot. Now, this is a really powerful deck to use with Tarot of the Abyss, because I think these cards speak beautifully and can help deepen connection to some of the themes that are rising in the tarot deck. So self-sabotage, of course, can speak to the devil. It can speak to, I don't know, Seven of Cups kind of energy. There's lots of places where we can bring in correlation. So I highly recommend using the two decks together. Yeah. All right. So I want to welcome Rhea. Hello to Rhea. Thank you for joining us. Nice to have you here live as well, too. And if I said your name wrong, let me know. Okay. There is, can I say, an alien quality, you know, like an unrealistic, there's so much motion and movement and fluidness of the cards. It's almost as if bodies are integrating and disintegrating within pictures. And so these cards ask us about the fluidity, I feel, of the keywords that are below. And like I said, so here's another example of a card that is going to repeat the message, repeat a message that we find in the tarot. And there's lots of them, right? So the abundance card could speak for sure to Nine of Pentacles, among others as well, too. We have a card that asks us, you know, so there's lots of cards of moving on in the tarot, and Time to Soar is going to reinforce that point. This is one of my favorite cards. I have a photograph of my mother around, I want to say, 35 years old, and she's at a camp. We're all at a family camp together, of her pulling back a really large bow. And it just makes me feel so happy to see that. Yeah. This concept is one that I work with a lot. And when people are struggling, there's a challenge that is arising. This is a card that can show up to remind us to find the gift, in the sadness, to find the gift in the breakup, to find the gift in your sorrow, and so forth. I think this is it's a great card. Transformation, spirit guides. This feels very Osho Zen. Love the creativity card. Now, at the point, so before this deck came out, Ana had created, now I'm going to think of the name, Hidden Waters Tarot. And I did have Hidden Waters. I don't have it here. I sold it. Which is, it reminds me a little bit of, there's another deck that's like that, the large oval deck. I also sold that one. There's just something about it's a little too abstract for me. A little too abstract. But if you like that kind of psychological deck, Ana does have another tarot deck that is quite something. It's called Hidden Waters Tarot. It's available, I think, through makeplayingcards.com. And we have lots of very real cards like loss and depression and vulnerability, self-involved. So I do not tend to use this deck when I'm reading for somebody for the first time. If I'm working with somebody over a long period of time, I will pull out this deck because it will hit the nail on the head. And sometimes the nail that it hits pierces something quite painful. So I would, for personal work, this is really beautiful. For working with other people, I would be cautious until you've developed a relationship. I really like this. And so here we have the crescent moon over the third eye. We have a doorway, a pathway opening to the crown chakra. This is so beautiful. Also, really like the moon card here. So again, lots of cards that tap into the tarot, right? The moon, hope, lovers, new horizons. Oh, you know what deck I didn't pull out is her Lenormand deck. Oh my goodness, I meant to pull that out. I might take a second and go and get it because I really, really do want to celebrate all of the decks that I have of hers. Yeah. So if you haven't seen her Lenormand, I will go and get that in just a moment. I think too that we have some cards that repeat a message. So we have Awaken Inner Force, and then we also have that card of the human inside the mouth of the lion. And so there are some very similar messages. We could also contrast vulnerability with the Strength card as well too, right? So we have Awakening Inner Force and Inner Strength. But look at this together. What would you do if these two cards came up in a reading together? This is not, I think this deck does really well with more than one card, and it's not very often. Did you see Anna's interview on US Games YouTube today? I did not. I will look for that. What I was going to say is I think this is one deck that does really well pulling more than one card. Not a whole bunch, but definitely more than one. Okay, so here, why I was thinking of Lenormand is because there are some cards that feel very Lenormand in this deck. And you can tell that Anna's aware of Lenormand concepts. So when I had that home card out, it felt, and this feels very much like the Crossroads card or the Paths card in Lenormand. Yeah. And with the second edition, of course, you have 4 or 5 new cards as well, too. And for me, this is complete. This is complete as it is. There's another crossover card. And this can take us in so many beautiful places, the Fear card. And one of the things I like about this Fear card is that I don't know, there's something about the red. There's also something about the snake at the root chakra, and the source of all fear being primarily there speaks deeply to me. And so this is a very, very easy deck for me to work with. Thank you for sharing that link, Jonathan. Yeah. So there's so many amazing, amazing cards. Yeah. And does this feel like a 7 of Swords, sort of? 3 of Swords. And this is a powerful card. This is one that I find a little ominous to work with. Okay. So I'm going to be right back. It'll take me just a few seconds to get the Lenormand deck. Now, this is also an older version of the Lenormand deck. It no longer comes in a tin. I believe it comes in a 2-part box now. And it's called Clair de Lune Lenormand. And the version I have is in a little tin. So it's got a sticker on the front of the tin. And in this Lenormand, we do not have playing card associations. And it's set at night. And it's absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. I would not recommend reading with this at night. It's very hard to see, but if you've got a candlelight or some light on it, and look at the house card, right? So this is also a great Halloween. If you read around Samhain. One of the most beautiful child cards of all the Lenormand decks that I have. How many of you in the chat read Lenormand? I'm doing a series if you're interested. Bear. To me, this sun is a little odd. That's one of the only cards that I don't like in this deck. I absolutely love the book. This feels like a magical book too. Right? It feels like something you would find on the shelves in Hogwarts. This is also not a favorite. I don't really like hearts as necklaces. Crossroads, letter, scythe, bouquet. The tree feels very Ana Tourian. Snake. The tower feels like a fairy tale. Whip, lily. Fish. It's like a glow in the dark kind of card. Anchor. The boat and the house are like, there's so much details, so many details in the house and the boat. I really like these cards. And there's a hand on the dog. So that's great. Mice. The mice are eating an apple. There are a couple alternate cards. I'm sorry I didn't pull them out because I've totally forgot about this deck that I'm actually going to leave. I'm going to leave this out and I'll use this in class in a couple of weeks when we're going to start doing counting round in the Lenormand class. So if you're interested, I think we're at something like 30 something videos in the Lenormand series. If you want to join in. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I want to say thank you to Anna. Your art has been very powerful for me as a reader personally. And I look forward to seeing your new deck. And I for sure will check out that interview that was just posted with US Games. Okay. Jonathan is talking about Kelly Fitzgerald's class. So yes, Kelly also has she's the Truth and Story. Has some great courses on her website. So be sure to check out Kelly Fitzgerald. Tina, it will always be there. So whenever you are ready, you can do that. Let's go to some of these comments. So Rhea says, when I do readings, people feel that Tarot of the Abyss looks scary to them. Really? Yeah. Well, I think it is a bit confrontational in that it reflects a lot of energy. Mhm. So go back and listen to some of my comments, and you might see some other things in the cards that you haven't seen before. That's funny. I like that analysis, Joseph. Anna's here. Hello, Anna. Well, I'm just a fan, Anna. I'm a big fan, and I pulled out Tarot of the Abyss again this month. I was really looking for a deck to dive into some deep work with some of my clients, and I'd put it away for a while, and I'm just loving it all over again. It's taken me down some amazing paths with some of the people that I'm working with. So I just felt like, yeah, let's just celebrate your art today. And I pulled out. I don't have Hidden Waters anymore, but we were looking at Tarot of the Abyss and some of the cards in Bonestone and Oracle of Echoes, and then I just went and grabbed the Lenormand. So yeah, so thank you for your amazing contribution to the tarot world, because it's just great. It really is. Yeah, and I look forward to seeing the interview that you just did on with US Games. I haven't seen it yet. So yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you so much for popping in here. Well, my friends, this is a wrap for today. And I will be back on Tuesday. Hopefully, all of our power is restored here, and I'll be back for Lenormand and live readings on Tuesday. And I look forward to seeing you all very soon. Have a lovely weekend. Be really kind to yourself in the tsunami of the Pisces full moon. Stay open to the possibilities of this 9/9 portal, and know that its energy will continue over the weekend as well too. Okay. Take good care, and thank you all for your participation in today's conversation. Namaste.